Hi, this is Reapso Video, and I'm Theodore Ross, Editor-in-Chief of the Food and Environment Reporting Network, or FERN. Now, FERN is what's known as a distributed workplace, which you may think means that I'm in an office right now taping this interview. But what it actually means is that the different parts of my body have been chopped up and distributed to strategic locations around the country. That's what I bring to the table at FERN. My guest today is Teresa Cotsirilos. She's a staff writer and reporter and producer for FERN, and she's also the host of Buzzkill, FERN's podcast series on the pollinator crisis. Teresa, welcome to Reapso Video.
Thanks for having me, Ted. My obese cat George is here as well. And I am going to assume that out of all of your distributed body parts, that I am the brain. So just going with it.
Okay. Uh, your episode, Teresa, is called A Post-Pollinator World, which doesn't actually sound like a lot of fun. But I know that you're also reporting from an annual event in Central California called the Pollination Super Bowl, which actually does. So tell me, Teresa, why this story?
Yeah, I picked this story precisely because of the contrast that you just mentioned. I mean, when we decided we were going to do a six-part series on the pollinator crisis, we knew there had to be an episode that went deep on kind of the more bummer stuff, like what could really happen. Like, this crisis is serious, it could escalate, it could get a lot worse. What would that mean? And so when I took that episode on, I was trying to think of like a fun and energizing and really interesting way to get into it. And the pollination Super Bowl in the Central Valley is is absolutely that energizing way into the subject. For those of you who don't know, the pollination Super Bowl, and that's kind of our nickname for it. Some beekeepers kind of colloquially call it this. But every year around like between like January and March, um, something like beekeepers move something like 90% of the commercial domesticated honeybee population in the United States. They move all of those bees into the Central Valley of California for almond pollination. So we're talking tens of billions of honeybees loaded onto semi trucks, driven on highways with all of us. We have no idea how close we all are to a Wicker Man incident at this time. And then it's just this pollination bonanza, and it is being increasingly hit by bee rustlers and honeybee thieves, which just makes everything more bonkers and interesting. So yeah, no, it was a lot of fun to report considering how intense the subject matter is.
And what would you say was the biggest obstacle to your reporting?
I would say that there were two, both of which were extremely indicative of like the subject matter that I was covering. The first was getting covered head to toe in bees. I did not, I don't know why I didn't expect that to happen given what I was reporting on, but I didn't. And like, I interviewed the bee, if you listen to the episode, you'll hear the folks from Beewise, beekeepers from this tech startup, at the top of the episode. I visited them first. Um, they, as soon as I parked, they like ran up to me with a suit and were like, put this on fast. And like, pretty soon I'm like head to toe in like one of those kind of Martian beekeeper outfits. And they work with like 500,000 honeybees at a time. And lo and behold, we were covered in them. You know, they were crawling across the face mask. They were burrowing into my mic. You know, they were, one crawled across where my eye is on the face mask as we're doing the interview. I think I took it pretty well, but it was a surprise and a challenge. The other thing, and if like just as someone who reports on farmers and farming, this was very endearing and indicative of like what I was reporting on. Um, I was supposed to do this reporting trip over several days. The Central Valley is a very large place. I believe it's about the size of Tennessee. And I was visiting people all up and down that area. And then a massive storm front was coming in, and the weather changes fast. And the farmers and beekeepers I was talking to all texted me and were like, okay, look, when this rain comes through, we won't be able to do anything. So if you want to interview us and see the bees, you have to do it on this one day. And so this multi-day reporting trip got compressed into a single day. The interviews were so back to back that I could not stop to eat. And the farmers and beekeepers knew this, but they all work in the ag industry. And so I would finish an interview, and then a farmer or beekeeper would give me some food product that they had helped produce for the road. So I was just snacking on food that they had grown or helped grow throughout the day. Like one of the beekeepers gave me oranges he'd pollinated, and then I talked to this wonderful farmer you'll hear in the episode, and he gave me some pistachios that he'd been involved in producing. And so it was really fun.
Bad. Not bad.
Yeah.
And now that the reporting is done and you survived the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
what do you think the takeaway of your reporting is? What should we be learning from it?
I think if I had to boil it down to one or two things, I'd say that, I mean, my big takeaway from doing this work is that we have developed a a global agricultural system and supply chain that is so productive and feeds so many people, particularly in contrast to what it was replacing, that it can feel miraculous. And in many ways, it is miraculous. And it is actually potentially fragile because so much of it rests on the teeny tiny shoulders of this one group of insects that the agricultural industry itself is sometimes, some would argue, often implicated in killing. And so we've got a problem. And there are a lot of really smart and passionate people in ag who are trying to fix it. And I talk to them. Everyone I talk to is trying to make this work. There are a lot of people trying to make it work and make this better. Uh, but we have a very significant problem, and the food we eat is quietly entirely reliant on a symbiotic relationship with a few bugs that many of us don't think about, and they're in trouble.
Well, thank you for that, Teresa. So, as you know, yours is the last episode of Buzzkill,
Mhm.
and I hope people listen to what you have to say and to the whole series. I think if you do, you'll find a lot of fascinating things in Teresa's work. You can find Buzzkill on Reapso or on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to learn more about our dispatches from the front lines of food, farming, and the environment, or if you want to donate to support our work, go to www.thefern.org. Thanks a lot.